ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ.
Yeah.
ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡು, ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿರೋದು ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
ಇರ್ಲಿ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ವಲ್ವಾ.
And Vinay, you start sharing your screen. I think initially you will have this session, right?
Yeah. ವಿನಯ್ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡು, ಅದಾದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ನಿನ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡು. ನೀವು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಪ್ರಮೋದ್ ಅಣ್ಣ ಶೇರ್ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ.
ಓಕೆ ಶೂರ್.
ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡು, ಲೈವ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀನಿ, ಲೈವ್ ಅದು ವಿಸಿಬಲ್ ಇದೆ ನೋಡು.
ಓಕೆ, ನಾನು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇದನ್ನ ಇಮೇಜ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ತಡಿ.
ಸರಿ.
ಇದಕ್ಕೆ
ಬರ್ತಿದೆ ಸರ್ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
ಬರ್ತಿದೆನಾ?
ಹಾ ಬರ್ತಿದೆ.
ಓಕೆ.
ಲೈವ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ತೆಗೆದ್ರಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲ ಲೈವ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ಇದೆ,
ಬಟ್ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನು.
ಅಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಒಂದು ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು 5 ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಡಿಲೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಲೈವ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಇದು ಬಿಟ್ ರೇಟ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ. ಓಕೆ,
ಇದು ಸರ್ ಹಳೆ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ತೆಗಿಲ್ಲ?
ಏನೇನು
ಹಳೆ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ವಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಅದು ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗೆ?
ಅದು ಡಿಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡು.
ಸರಿ ಸರ್.
ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ.
ಶೇರ್ಸ್ ಲೈವ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ ತಗೋ.
ಸರಿ. ಓಕೆ ವಿನಯ್ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡು, ಮುಗೀತು ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್. ನಾ ಇದು ಅಲೋ ಮಾಡಲ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ?
ಅಲೋ ಮಾಡು.
ನಾನು ವೇಟಿಂಗ್ ರೂಮ್ ತೆಗೆದಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದಟ್. Yeah.
Hello, good morning to all. We, the people of Samskara Foundation, are really happy and excited to see all the students and employees from different institutes and organizations. I, Samanvita Patel, the third year student of the Information Science Department of Bapuji Institute of Engineering and Technology College, take this as an immense pleasure to welcome you all. Samskara Foundation started in the month of March with a motive to serve the mankind in all the possible ways we can. Under the leadership of Mr. Vinay MT, the Assistant Professor of Bapuji Institute of Engineering Technology College, we welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have accomplished few of our works like distributing ration kits to 25 houses, which all underprivileged, and Chaman Press to Corona frontline warriors, and have also organized a motivating talk to the 10th and 12th students, and now we are doing this webinar. We have the team of alumni and students of Bapuji Institute of Engineering Technology. Those are the helping hands in the organization of this event. I would like to welcome Rajwal Jain, working at Infosys, Rajesh, working at Navjoy, Vaibhav, working at Palladian,
Hi, Samanvita. Hi, all.
Adarsh, currently studying in second year,
Yeah.
Yogashri, final year student of Bapuji Institute of Engineering and Technology, Ishwar,
Hi,
second
all.
year student,
Hi.
Chaitra, third year student. Now I would like to welcome our chief guest, Mr. Pramod sir.
Morning,
I would
everybody.
like to welcome our chief guest, Mr. Pramod sir.
Thank you, Samanvita. I hope I'm audible.
Welcome our chief guest.
I guess somebody is on YouTube. I hope I'm. I guess somebody is on YouTube. I guess somebody is on YouTube. Okay, request you to please disable YouTube because there's an echo, and also give an option to share screen. I don't have option to share the screen. Okay, request you to please disable YouTube because there's an echo, and also give an option to share screen. I don't have option to share screen. All right, just one, still there is an echo because okay. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Thank you guys. Thank you for joining this session. And I know that most of you guys are already bored of attending several webinars if you had a chance. So I'm just trying to identify a few areas where we can help you in one or other ways where we can collectively make a difference. So just to introduce myself, I am Pramod. I have been in IT industry from quite a few years, and I've been also part of several ventures, and I started my own companies. And right now I'm more of an investor, and then I help others to enable their businesses. And I also work as an AVP with StarMark, where we work in healthcare businesses. Okay, so let me start with a very simple question most of us are asking is that, what to do now? Like, now things are like this. But then if you step back and then ask the question in a different way, like, what did really happen? Rather than asking, what should I do now? What did happen? Probably the first question that we should ask. Right? So when you look at what happened, we have been asked to go home, do nothing, and then stay back. Right? So kind of something, most of us are probably happy going back and then doing nothing. But then now everybody realizes that, if you keep yourself idle, if you don't engage into something, then you are actually wasting your life, your career, and that has a lot of implications over the course of time. Right? So you take out anybody, whether he's somebody who is an employee in the government or in the private sectors or the professor, if anybody keeps idle, they are actually making a lot of impact to everybody else. So you need to understand that starting from somebody you are made to everyone has an importance in our life, and then their engagement makes a lot of difference. Right? So what to do now is a more of a question. A very simple thing that I should say that we have to be progressive. We should be doing something rather than doing nothing. Okay. So now you look at, there's a lot of debates telling, Corona is good for nature and not good for human beings. And there's a lot of saying that, ozone layer has got recovered itself. There are a lot of animals have felt a better shape and they're coming to cities and all. But then, to be honest, there is always a good and bad, just like a yin yang, what I put here. It's always very common to have something good in the bad and something bad in the good. So this is a part of life, and then you will always have to accept the fact that no matter whatever you see in good, there will be some part of the bad. And what we should do is to get better out of the situation. Now, before I begin and take some of your questions, this is some of the numbers that I have given. If you can see here, this speaks about in 2017, right? And then you see that most engineers, and when I say engineers, it also comes to the graduates. And if you're talking about somebody who's a diploma holder or the BCA or MCA graduates, there's a saying that most of these people who come out of the college are not employable. There's always a gap of what they learned to what is required in the industry. Now, this has been a problem. Don't even talk about, let's not, for a moment, we forget what happened to the COVID and how it impacted us and all. Let us look at the very simple choice as before COVID, what did happen, right? Did we have a job always? No. Did all the students in our college got into campus recruitment? No, only few got. And then again, of the few who got, not everybody got joined into, right? Some people did not join, some people did not like the job. There is plenty of things. And then every time you see that, TCS wants to hire 1,000 people, Wipro wants to hire 10,000 people, and there's so many things. But then there is at least 60-70% of the population who do not have a job at any given time. So you imagine this problem is even before the COVID used to happen, right? So then obviously there is a question, how do we make sure in a situation like this, right? So there's another number which says that, hardly 2% of the people are ready for a new age jobs, right? We'll talk about what does new age job stand for. But then again, these numbers are really very, very discouraging, because this has been in our education system and where we have been having a problem solve this, right? Now, when a situation like this happens, right, what will you think? There are, normally you come with an option, okay, let me go and look for a job, and no matter whatever kind of a job I have, okay, let me go with that option. The second thing says, why unnecessarily go there? And there are so many people are already battling out for looking for a job, whether it is seniors or immediate seniors or somebody from a different stream. So let me go for higher studies. Let me do another 2 years of, say, masters, or probably go for an engineering from diploma, or look at going for a PhD options. And then after studying for 2 or 3 hours, let me look at if I can come back again. Right? And there are some people are confused, they don't want to get into a job because they think it is not that easy, or they're probably not passionate about getting into a job, and they don't want to go for higher studies, and then they don't know what to do. Right? Some people are thinking that probably they should start their own venture or be an entrepreneur, but they don't even know how to start it out, right? Everybody, when they say they want to start a venture, they think of doing something like an Apple or something like a Facebook, right? So they have no direction on what really has to be done. So this is all of us. I mean, I'm nowhere different. When I was in college, I obviously had the same problems, right? So most of us had one or other questions where we were seeking out for an answer, and the discovery within us is what matters us, right? So one important thing you should know is that the better choice that we have, what I mean by choice is that, say, I live in Bangalore, that no matter what salary I'm getting in, I'll be spending that salary in a lifestyle that's present in Bangalore, right? The salary doesn't define me how rich I am. Right? What defines me is that what options do I have? Right? So if I have a choice of staying in Bangalore and then continuing with my job, an alternative option that I quit this job and I go to my hometown and do another business, or the third option where I stay in somewhere in between, go out abroad and then do something new, right? So the more number of choice person has, is more richer. Right. So you can very simply look at, see, if you have a choice of either going for a job or going for a study, you are rich because you already have two choices and you can make one a month. Right. So you want to do something new that is not being done, then you have three different choices. Right. The more choice you have, the more options you got in your career, in your life, the richer you feel because you are more satisfied and you have an option to weigh out which is really more valuable for me, and then take a choice on that. Right. Now, like I was saying in an introductory session, there is the way how things were happening before we get into this pandemic are totally changing, right? So I don't know how many of you guys know about it, or there are tons of people who are trying to help farmers to sell their produces directly to the in the cities, right? So this was something never happened in the past. For example, if somebody have onion, which is normally sold at 2 or 3 rupees a kilo, from a farmer, he only gets 2 or 3 rupees, and then it gets sold at 50 rupees in the cities, right? So there is always a gap of like probably 80-90%, which was always taken by either the logistics or by somebody who's in the middleman. Right now, people are looking at how do I make better out of it? How do I help farmer is one perspective, and then how do I get it at a cheaper price to the urban cities is the other side, right? So if you look at the corporates, first thing everybody is looking at, how do I survive, right? I mean, Jaan hai to jahan hai, right? That was somebody was saying, right? So the first thing, you should find your own sustainability. How do you survive yourself? That's very important, whether it is about an institution or an individual person. In any scenario, you would always have you would always have to be surviving first. Once you are in a good shape, you can look at how do you make a difference for others. Second thing, as a company, for example, we had 5 maids, say, in our office, right? Now, do you really need 5 maids? The question comes in, right? Why not I use certain automated tools, or why not I can have only 2 or 3 people and then make it better? Is a one way of getting efficiency, right? But then the other question comes that now I have so many things to consider, right? Earlier, there used to be a small percentage of work that we have to do it out for a cleaning of our office. Now we need to make sure it is sanitized. We need to make sure that there is no social distancing is maintained, and there has to be utilization of the sanitizers, and then there's so many things that we need to arrange, right? So probably instead of 5 maids, I may look at having probably 15 maids also, right? So the things are changing, and then the question is always right. Should I put effort in that side or in this side? And the government is the one which is helping us, telling what you should do. The government is definitely making an impact for all of us, for our businesses, in every possible, and how to make it very smooth and efficient. Right? And the other important thing is a focus. Right? Most corporates, if you look at the service-based companies, you talk about CDS, Wipro, Infosys, right? And all these companies is to hire employees in bulk, and then they keep them on a bench for close to a year or something, and then utilize them as and when the need is really there for them. So they always made an initial investments and get people in place, and then whenever it's required, they can allocate their team members into the required projects. But then now, because this has questioned yourself, like, can you have that surplus employees, or can you have surplus projects also, right? Sometimes you have too many projects and you don't take all of them. You keep some projects on hold, taking, okay, I'll handle those projects later. That comes in your product companies, where you always have one other thing to work on, right? When it comes to the academics, obviously they are also getting into an efficient way of doing it, like the way we are doing foundations webinar today. There are ways to reach people online. There are ways to do a lot many things paperless and get into an automation process. And the most important, the academics are also trying to focus now is on the research, right? The more involvement it comes in. If you see that in the first 30 days in India, we have done so much of progress, whether it is about building a sanitizer, building about PPE kits, or building about and ideal ways of having the sanitizing kits. Hundreds of people came with an ideas, and then what you also call as a jugaad, right? There's so many things came up with, and then really a wonderful innovation came out of it, right? So that was done, and of course, academy was behind the scenes to make all these things happen, while corporate helped to make sure that it is produced in n number of quantities, in multi-factors, basically. But then one common factor between corporates and academics and even the people like us, Aam Aadmi, is the innovation, right? So innovation is a very important thing. Now it is forced for us to innovate, forced for us to do things in a different way, right? Whether you talk about in some lift, you have a toothpicks so that you can press on which floor you want to go instead of using your finger because you may get infected by a virus. So these are some of the ideas, but in fact, so many ideas come into picture, not all of them work, right? So any idea, most ideas are really bad, but then some ideas really click or work well. Whether you talk about Facebook, Snapchat, Apple, right? All these things were an ideas which just they tried a push, and then some of them worked and some of them did not work. I keep giving this example, right? How many of you know about Bluetooth and GSM network came together at the same time? The GSM network has evolved, and everybody today we talk, whenever you call on phone, it is 90% on GSM technology, right? While Bluetooth we are using only for localized area. So both of they bought at the same time, but then the focus has been different, and the innovation at GSM has got into a different level as compared to this side of a Bluetooth area. So there's a lot of things, and the innovation plays a very important role in what you are trying to do. And then now everybody is asking the same question: how can I do the same thing in a different way? How can I do this one in an efficient way of handling this? Earlier, when I used to go to colleges, I had to spend my Saturday, Sundays. I have to leave on Friday night from Bangalore and then stay there for a day or two and then come back. So there's a lot of traveling, a lot of logistics needs to be done. There has to be a hotel arrangement. Now it's all very easy. I just sit in my home and then connect you guys on the web, and then I'm done, right? So that's an innovation that makes pretty much different, right? So first of all, thank you for your time. And then I got hundreds of questions, but then obviously the given time, it's not possible that we address all the 100 questions. I have picked up top 5 or top 10 questions, which I'm going to answer. I'm going to try to answer those questions. And after that, you will also have a open mic session where you can raise your questions, and I'll do my best to answer to them, right? So let me take the first question. Is it necessary to do an internship in the summer semester? If so, how to grab one during this pandemic time? Okay. Now, let me ask this question very simply. If you want to buy a chair, will you go to a shop and then you sit on the chair, or just give me a minute. Okay, sorry for the small disturbance. I think someone tried to share the screen. So I hope you are able to see my screen now. And the question I was asking is that, say, somebody raised this question that, do I need to get into a semester, internship in the semester, right? So the question that I have is that, say you want to buy a chair, right? And you go to shop, are you not going to sit on a chair and then try how it looks like and all, right? In the same way, now you are getting into a job, and it is very much important for you to understand how the job is. It's a two-way. One is you getting into a job and you trying to know how the job would be. And the other side is that if I'm as a company, if I want to hire you, I also want to know how good and how bad you are, right? So the internships are normally done in a way that where as a company, I can look at if this out of 10 people have given internship, if the 4 of them are really good, I want to grab them and give an opportunity in my company. Internship is always a win-win situation if it is done well, right? So first thing is that you will have an exposure on how the corporate culture will be, and irrespective of whether you join that company or a different company, you will have something to learn. And for a company, they can target on, okay, who is good among the 10 people, or if all 10 of them are good, then they can hire them. It's very easy for somebody who knows my company culture to join my company much easier than somebody else who don't know anything about my company culture, right? So the internship are always good, and how to grab them, see, whether it is now in this situation or even without this situation, there are always ways, right? There is always, you can make a cold call, or you need to find a way, how do you want to get them. I'm going to explain on how do you get these things in the next slides, right? And the next question I'm taking is that how do we get IT jobs? I'm an instrument student, right? I mean, there is same question we had. Somebody told that they are from mechanical, or somebody said they are on electrical, right? So I started my career. I mean, I started my college as an instrumentation, and then I got into computer science. Let me tell you. So how many of you know how to operate computer now? How many of you know how to play YouTube? How many of you know how to write a program? So most people who has done engineering or who is into diploma or BCA now have a rough idea of how to use a computer, right? Now, let's go ask this question in a different way, right? So how many of computer science students know how to, open a plug and then see if there is something is wrong and then they fix it? Right? How many computer science students know how to start an engine if it is not working properly, whether it's a bike or a car, whatever you're talking, right? So if you look at what happening is that other than non-computer students, right, they have dual advantages, right? They know their core domain, whether it's about instrumentations or whether it's about mechanical or electrical, right? They know their domain, plus they also have some good knowledge on the computer science. And it's really a win-win situation, but then you need to position it in a way that, so most people, what most people do is that right after you are done with your 8th semester, I keep telling this as a 9th semester syndrome, right? You come to Bangalore and join some institutions for another 6 months, of course. You invest too much of money in staying in a house and then every day going there for 4 hours of training and then trying to learn something. But then what you are going to learn in the 9th semester is exactly what you learned previously, or you're trying to digest something that you are not good at. But somebody who is a mechanical engineer, I don't know if it's really necessary for you to learn a Java or learn something else, and you don't want to be doing those activities, right? If you're good in programming, fantastic, you should go into that effort, right? But then being somebody in electricals and then trying to learn computer science and then trying to get into an IT job is probably something that doesn't add up well, right? You're going to waste 1 year of your career. I'm not telling you will not get the job opportunities, but you're going to waste really 1 year of a career because your learning curve is different, and then you're going to adapt to the new methods of learning and then handling things. So you should try to focus on, like, if you have something like this planned down, you have to start doing it probably in the 2nd year, or you start doing it in the 3rd year, so that right after 4th year, you don't have to spend another year before you get into a job. Right? It's very important to start early. We'll talk about that again in the next session, but then having non-computer science students, a bit of knowledge on the computer is really a good advantage. And if you plan in early days, you can really have wonderful opportunities as compared to computer science students, right? And is there a job opportunity after this pandemic? Yes. I mean, otherwise I would not have a job, or most of us would not have a job, right? The fact is that the job opportunities are always there, whether with or without, right? To put it in a very simple terms, my office has to still run. I still need, there are 20 projects I have. I would need at least another 40 people who can work here for me, right? Just like me, there are hundreds of people who also need it. There are certain businesses that are impacted very badly. What are the industries that got impacted? Something that is more of a premium is really not necessary for our living. For example, your cinema theaters, right? It is not necessary that you can live without cinema. So that has impacted. Even your shopping malls got impacted, right? While the core minimum things, the very basic things are really required. That even when we say cinema theaters, what you really need to understand, the cinemas are still running, right? We still need an art. Without art, I don't think none of us would have survived in our pandemic situation of lockdown. We still had an opportunity to learn something as an drawing or music, or probably we spend a lot of our time on Netflix. There is so many ways we try to understand the things and then come back, right? So art is really an essential piece, but then it's not necessary to do it too much. Certain people can engage, certain people may not be, right? So only those areas which are really premium, right? You don't need to eat junk food, right? So most of junk food shops have been shut down now. So those are something impacted, but when you come to the ITS jobs, or even when it comes to some of the government jobs, all of these are open and there will be a more demand going forward. But the way the demand is there is totally different. Okay. Now, coming to the next question, do we really think we can survive this pandemic? Every country has lost jobs of 10 years or more. Okay, that's a very debatable thing. I mean, a definition of survive really matters. What do you mean by survive, right? Whether you will have the job or whether you will lose your energy, those are the different ways of looking at it out. But then when you see that the IT boom happened, right, a lot of people thought that they'll lose job. But then today, most people are employed in the IT sector. When you go further, right, today there is a cry telling, take an example, like when ATM came, most bank employees thought they're going to lose their job. Now they are happy that when you go and then get the money there, you come to me only if there is services, because for doing the services they are asking, whether it's a test change or the FD renewal, all those activities itself, there is a lot of work to be done, right? So nothing really loses, nothing makes you to lose job, but then it makes you to think in a different way to get a job, right? And when it comes to India, especially for an IT industry, right, we are kind of connected with the world a lot. IT is a hub. India is a hub for IT across the world. So anywhere you take out, if they want to do something done in IT, they will talk about being in Bangalore, right? Being in India, right? So if anything happens in their company, their country, it makes an impact to us, right? If US there is a lockdown, that means I will not be able to do my work here, because without US is where my client is, right? So I've been hit because that, everywhere else is being impacted. There will be a short term. It's going to take another 6 months or 1 year or probably more than that. But then at the end of the day, it's going to come to normalcy. And then we will definitely look at the things in a different angle. Now, let me take the next slide. Right. Who has the opportunity in this coming days? Is it freshers or aged people? Like, there's a very thin line difference between freshers and aged people. We prefer to get freshers. As a company, I'm saying, because it's easier for them to train as compared to aged people. When you say aged people, I believe that you mean somebody who's experienced, right? So experienced people are also pretty much required, because company runs by somebody who has got experience. But then every year we get the new people. It's a standard practice across all the companies. They definitely want to pick the new branch and then they train them. And over the course of time, these freshers that we have hired become experts. So there is always an opportunity for both of them. But then the kind of skill sets is very important. Okay, next is how to face these situations, right? Keep cool, learn something new. I'm going to say uncertain ideas on how to do this one, but then this is really not that bad, as if the whole earth has come down, right? So you can still do a lot many great things with this situation, right? And next question, is it risky for a fresher to have their own startup without experience in IT? Right? See, the startup and IT are not connected, right? So what is a startup? If somebody starting a kirana shop right next to your house is also a startup. A startup means, okay, you start selling out milk probably in your area is also a startup, right? You don't need to be connected to IT. IT is more as an enabler, right? You are doing something repeatedly 100 times, IT helps you to minimize that work, right? So, but the first thing is that you should have an idea, you should have a business model that should be running. Right? You don't need an IT background. There are hundreds and millions of people who can help you to enable IT services. But what is more important is for you to think through and then come with some idea where you can make a difference, right? So, it's pretty much important that you have a right idea and right mindset, and you put effort, you can definitely do wonderful things. Next comes that master's, right? Should I go abroad and then try to do my master's? Definitely, if you got your scholarship, or if your dad is rich enough to promote for you guys, then go ahead. But then a couple of things. One is that most scholarship programs are right now stopped. So you will have a bad time if you're really trying for that one. And the second thing is that even though there is a saying that, probably the Italy or US, they have one of the best healthcare system, they were not able to save their population, right? While India, it was, to certain extent, it was possible only because here, as a people, we are more connected, we are more concerned about one person to other person, right? So when you're flying abroad, if you have that confidence, see, flying abroad, one more thing is that it's an exercise you have to do it at least a year or 2 years before. It is not that, tomorrow you decide to take a ticket and then go. That's only done by somebody who is born with a silver spoon. Otherwise, it is an exercise. And if you are into that exercise, please go ahead. Over the course of time, in next couple of years, definitely things will be much better. But then you don't have to stop, but you have to take precautions to make sure yourself comfortable. Right. As a fresher, what do any organization accept from us? This is a very important question, and that's what I'm going to cover in my next sessions, right? So the first question here is that, okay, what do I do in a situation like this? How do I face this situation? And this, whatever I have put in here, are something that I have been telling even before the pandemic comes, right? Even before you have a COVID-19. Because the things doesn't change, we still have a huge gap between what has been taught in academics to what has been taken into the industries, right? Again, you can't blame institutions telling that they are not doing their bit. They are doing really superbly great, but the problem is the way we have been brought up. Like, we think that, it takes, if you go and look back, right, probably in your 12th standard or in 10th standard, you had only 6 books all the 1 year, right? When it comes to, again, in the PUC or in the 11th and 12th standard, you still had same 6 books, but then your questions area was more above 6 books, right? When it comes to engineering, in a semester, you will be able to read 6 books. Right? So, but then the way we have been taught forward, right? And then when you come from engineering to the corporate, you still expect you need 6 months to learn one programming language. That's not the way it should be, right? Because see, you already got progress from 1 book for 6 books for 1 year to 4 months for 6 books, right? When you come to engineering, the expectation is that it should be 1 month for 1 book. Right? I'm just giving an example, but then the learning curve has to be improvised as in a new progress in your career. So how do you get ready? This is the few points I was trying to say. The first thing is that you should start early and start fresh, right? So if you want to go for higher studies, or you want to start your own business, or you are looking for a job, you have to start talking about it. If you are in engineering, you should start talking about it in the 2nd year, right? You should start questioning yourself. If I want to see myself in Microsoft, what should I do today? The same question comes either you're doing diploma or BCA or anywhere. And if you want to go for higher studies, if you want to do an MTech, in the 2nd year, you should ask, what subject should I choose in MTech? And how should I prepare for doing that in MTech? So when you're doing your engineering and you're talking about MTech, you are definitely going to gain a lot of knowledge when you're doing engineering itself. So it is pretty much important to start early. And if you don't start early, you will always have a bad design. Right? And every time there is always a failure, right? It never happens that you will always succeed in whatever you plan for it. Or my dad used to say that, if everything goes as you planned, then you will become a god, right? So it's not the case. We are not the god. So we are looking at having somebody else making a decision for us most of the times, right? I choose engineering because somebody told me to do engineering. I choose into this company because somebody told me to do it. That should not happen, right? You should plan. And you should look at how do you want to do it. And of course, there will be some God gift that can help you, right? The second thing is a discipline. So when I say discipline, it doesn't mean that your webinar is at 11 o'clock and then you be here at 11 o'clock. The discipline is a lifestyle, right? How you do, how you live yourself is all that matters. We'll talk more about discipline in next slides, but then the next thing I'm talking about is social development, right? So most of you guys who come from a rural area, you could connect that, there is, whenever there's a Ganpati festival or the flag hosting is celebrated, the whole society joins together. People get to know each other. People share their ideas, questions, and it's very open to have that kind of discussions, right? The more people you are connected, the richer you are, right? And so having more people connected makes a huge difference in a life. respecting people, talking to people, seeking help makes us very, very rich, very, very, with the multiple options that we get in there. And then the second thing comes is you learn a lot many things. For example, this is a question that I keep asking, right? What is the point of me learning probably integration or differentiation in mathematics? Believe me, it does make a difference over the course of time as you learn, as you understand what you are learning, right? You are learning for the sake of those 100 marks or getting above 35, it will not help. So whatever you are learning, should always ask the question, how can I make use of it? Right? The moment you ask that question yourself, you're going to get better out of it. Right? And be open. It's okay to fail. It's okay to be wrong. And there will be somebody who can help you to correct on it. Right? But then you should not give up. Be determined. There will be always ways ahead where you can make things better. And the last but not the least is the goals. Right? If you do not have goals, right, you don't know what you want to do. See, a goal need not to be like I want to be Prime Minister of India or something like that. A goal can be a very simple thing. In the next 6 months, I want to write a book by myself. Right? Book is probably too much. I want to write one article on myself. Right? I want to write an article about something that I'm learning. Right? I want to write an article about machine learning, artificial intelligence, and I want to write an article about ECU engines. Right? So you can do a lot many things, but then you should have a goal on your own. Now, you see, I mean, I keep telling about what do you see very common with the successful people? That's discipline. Whether you talk about anybody, right? Whether it's Abdul Kalam or any of these Bollywood actors, right? Everybody, you see, there is a discipline they set up them. Right? If you don't have discipline, it will always be a problem. And then I'm going to help you guys on how do you make things happen, right? First thing you should accept, as a whole Indian education system, we have been not taught on how to fail and how to cope up with a failure. Right? The moment you are not ready to fail, you will have a problem. Right? It's okay to fail. It's perfectly okay to fail, but then you should not give up. That's a difference, right? If you are not able to get something, you should again rise up and then try next way, do the next right thing, do the next better thing. Right? That's how you should think of it always. And to make those things happen, the first and foremost you should have is a plan. Right? What do I mean by plan? You want to do something. Let's take an example that take one of the examples at the top. If there's a mechanical engineer and he wants to learn a data science, right? So what do? You say that I'm going to go on a course. I'm going to spend 20,000 rupees for that course. It's a 6 months course. After 2 months, you got bored of it out and then you are done. Not do that, right? So plan yourself. Okay, next 10 days, I'm going to put myself to learn something online. I'll be able to do a very basics of understanding what is data science, where it is required. Is it worth of my time to learn data science, right? So you're going to do an evaluation at the first 10 days. And if you're happy about the output of 10 days, then you're going to do a consultation next. Then you're going to talk to somebody who is working in data science, telling, hey, this is my plan. I'm not good in these things. I'm good in these things. I think if I do these things, I might learn data science. Now, what is the objective of learning a data science? You want to get into a job, then you should again seek help, right? Go and check with the companies what kind of profiles they have, what kind of job profiles they have got. Go into Naukri, you can see hundreds of profiles telling, we're looking for data science, we're looking for somebody as a data enthusiast with these skill sets, right? So you understand, okay, this is what they're asking for. Okay, let me prepare myself, right? Are they asking for experience? Then you need to ask for help where you can get experience. So you tackle one problem at a time. So here I have given one example. This was for somebody in the first year, right? So if you want to do something, right, write one program a day. Right? When you say write one program a day, add 2 numbers, one program is done, you are done for the day. Not like that. When you write a program, you need to understand why I'm writing this program. What is it I'm trying to get out of this program? So once you do one program a day and then you make it as a weekly habit of telling, I'm going to do something better in the 1 week, right? In 1 week, I'm going to learn how to do all the file operations. And then this week, I'm going to try to do all the string operations. So once you start planning yourself, every day you make a smaller progress and then you become a fantastic person. That I started myself into share market investment. And how did I start? I started every day spending 5 minutes of reading the news for that day. I didn't do anything great. I just spent 5 minutes every day over the course of 6 months. And then I got an idea on how things have to happen, right? Just to give a rough idea, right? in summer, most ice cream seller companies shares will be very high, right? And then if the moment the summer is over, their shares will go down. It's very obvious because in the summer there will be a lot of sales of ice cream, and then it is not. Right? So there is this macro and micro. These are very small things, but then understanding these things makes a lot of difference in how you make decisions in your life. So planning is the first thing. And second thing is that know things, right? This is very important, right? I keep telling on a very simple thing to my students, right? When you look at a mobile application, whether you look at Uber, whether you look at probably Swiggy or something, you should think, okay, how this app is working, right? How does this app makes a difference, right? How hospital or how does the hotel knows that I placed an order? Right. How does somebody who is on the bike will get to know he has to go to that hotel and then bring the parcel and then give it to me? Right? What do the database they might be using? How many tables they have? What kind of technology they are using? Right. So you have to ask these questions. And for a mechanical engineer, I keep telling this. Right. If you look at this plastic material that I have, right, it takes a lot of innovation to get into this thing done, right? There's a product design and there is a development, there'll be a QC validation, so many things that is done, right? The moment they look at this plastic, they say, okay, this is a metal and this is a plastic and this is this grade plastic, right? The moment they touch and they look, they have some kind of an experience, right? So that's how a mechanical engineer has to be. Similarly, a computer science engineer has to be looking at the software and understand those things, right? When you look at electric engineer, they have to understand how the whole system is working around. When you ask yourself these 10 questions, probably more than these questions also, right? You will become a great person in what you're doing. But if you don't ask these questions to yourself, there is no way that you are learning much better. You are only learning for those 35, 50 marks to get passed. Right? So ask questions yourself and you can seek a help where you can get an answer, right? Now, the first thing I said is a planning. Second thing is asking questions. The third most important thing is executing. Right? It's we are all known as you are very good in initiating something. Right? From today we're going to do something great. So that energy is there for today. That energy is there for 1 week, and after 1 week we are done. Right? We won't even try to do it. There's a very good comic show I was seeing. That somebody buys a new camera, right? The first week it will be okay, my photography. There will be a Facebook group, and then there will be Twitter, there will be Instagram and everything. First 1 week he goes and in and around, and then probably goes to a zoo and then takes all the animals. So the next week probably he goes to some places where he takes photos of poor people or some vegetables and all. The third week, what happens? There is some family program in the home, and then he takes the photos. And the fourth week, camera is gone, right? You just keep it in somewhere else, and it will be all in dust, and you'll not take everything. So that's how the energy dies if you don't have somebody who is pushing you for achieving something great. So what is more important is that you should have somebody as a mentor. You should have your companions, your project mates, your classmates, your friends, right? You should have somebody where you should plan to meet weekly and then talk about the progress. You should have a mentor who can help you once in a while so that you can make a progress in what you are doing it out. And then there has to be webinars or there has to be seminars where you can go and then publish on what you learned and everything. And then have a goal which you can write in the blog, right? That's somewhere you can get motivated. And also, as a co-partner to a lot of other people, you should help other people to motivate for them to do something like this. Execution plays a very important role because after I finish this session, probably next 2 or 3 days, there will be an energy, and after that it goes down. So immediately you should look at having somebody who are your companions where you can work together and then get something out. So that's very important factor, right? Now, the one question I was telling at the top, how do I get internship? There are very easy options. One simple thing saying that when you try everything, there's one thing that you always miss is not asking for help. If you ask for help, there are 100 people who are willing to contribute in one or other way. Right? How do you even ask for help? Right? If you suddenly go and ask somebody that give me job, nobody cares for you. Right? Because there are literally hundreds and thousands of people who are looking for a job, and you are just next person in among them. It doesn't make sense, right? But then you go and say that, okay, hey, I have this program. I'm planning to build one software which can be used into the sales point, right? Or you say that I'm going to build one solar circuit which will help you to efficiently get the energy stored into certain cells, right? Or I mean, you have this kind of ideas where you go and ask their help, telling, I want to do something, I need your help for solving this kind of problems. Now, what happens is that for somebody who is into the corporate, or even for your lecturers also, your professors also, they get very interested because you are trying to do something different than most people what they are doing. Right? When you're doing something different than what you're normally doing, and you're asking for very small help, right? You're asking me to fix one problem, right? I'll get connected with you. I'll try to help you. There may be one program you're asking, or you're asking a very simple question, right? What programming language should I use? Should I use Java? Should I use C Sharp? Or should I use C++? Right? Very small question. I will answer to you that question, right? Then next time you come with additional question, I'm going to keep answering to your questions because you are taking a very small help out of me. But eventually what happens, there'll be a relation built between you and me. And then when I have something new in my company, when I'm getting into something, I say, okay, this guy is doing really great job. Why don't I hire him into my company? Why don't I get him an internship? Right? So how to seek help is very important. You just go and then put a bomb telling I need a job and I need like 30,000 rupees a month, then nobody cares for it. It's a long lasting relation that you need to build, and you should not try with only one person, right? You have hundreds and thousands of people who come out of your colleges. You can connect with them, ask for a very small help from them, and get connected, get know well. Like this one more thing I was like, network is your new wealth. If you want to be rich, have a network of people. Have people who are into different segments, not necessarily only in mechanical, not necessarily only in robotics, not necessarily only in computer science, right? Even you should have connected with the farmers. You should have connection with the grocery. Any possible way you should be connected with the people. You never know when you can help them, when they can help you, right? Having connected is a very important piece. Okay, and it's very easy to get mentorship. There are so many IIMs and IITs sponsor mentorship. You just need to apply for that. No money required. You just have to have an idea and you can get help, right? If you want to start your own company and all. But then individually, if you need a mentorship, you will have so many people who can help you further. The only problem is that you connect on the Facebook where you put your photo they like and their photo you like. Right? There can be a relation beyond sharing forwards. You can also have much better relationship on Facebook. Have yourself connected in LinkedIn, Facebook. And one other important thing is that how do you communicate to people, right? How do you send an email, right? So the email comes with all small letters or all capital letters or says, hi bro, how are you doing? Right. So you need to learn a very basics of email etiquette, right? How do you make your email to be very attractive to me, right? So that I give attention to you and then I respond back to you immediately. So have some time, learn about etiquettes or how to send email, how to make a phone calls. So those things will really help you guys to connect with your seniors and then make a lot of difference. That I've given this presentation will be available to you guys, and you can go through some of these very simple terms on how do you do a programming, right? See, the programming is different and computer science is different, right? Don't get connected. Don't get for example, you want to build one spoon, right? That's a science, right? You need to figure out what is the length, what is the dimension, what kind of material you need to use. And there's so many things that's a whole program you build it in there, right? On the computer science, it's more of a mathematics and how do you want to get something derived out of it, and how do you represent the data in a better fashion. So somebody who got analytical skills can survive anywhere and everywhere. Okay, so that's all from my end, and I hope I was able to helpful. Now it's open for questions and answers. If you guys have any questions, probably you can unmute and ask the questions. Or do you have any questions already listed?
Yeah, thank you, Pramod sir. It was a very great informative session from your side. So I think we will have a question and answers way now. So we will have an audience. You can raise your hand in your thing in Zoom so that we can enable your audio so that you can ask the question. So, and we will be also having some list of questions. We will be also asking some questions. First, we will leave for the audience to have your questions. So if you raise your hand, we will enable your audio. Yeah, Nandish, right? Yeah. Nandish, you are unmuted.
Looks like Nandish is still on mute.
Hello.
Yeah, Nandish, you can ask the question.
Hello.
Yeah, Nandish, you can ask that question.
So, which programming language is now going on, sir?
What do you mean by going on, right? So the question is like, which fruit is good now, right? It's not like the programming language is, any programming language is bad, right? Whether you talk about, everybody nowadays talks about Python, but then the fact is that Facebook is still built on Python.
Yes,
And we have a bunch of programs, like for example, our own Windows operating system, it still runs a lot many things on the C, C++, or even the batch script, right? So there is nothing like see, language and programming are again two different things, right? Programming is on how do you solve a problem, right?
Yeah.
Learning a language is probably a 15 days or month experience, right? So if you are good at how to solve a problem, if you know what is a for loop, right? It's just that the syntax and the things will be different in Python as compared to your PHP as compared to your C#. Right? So it really doesn't make so much difference of shifting between the languages. But what happens is that depending on the kind of the problem you're trying to solve, you need to choose a programming language.
Oh.
For example, if you have to build a mobile application, I cannot choose a PHP as a programming language. Right? So choosing the programming language and your learning curve, how quickly you can learn between like gain the language syntax of the next programming language makes a difference. But then honestly, if I tell you very simple thing I prefer you guys to focus is how to do programming. That's most important. Right? And then you think about the language.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pramod sir, there is a question from chat box. So how can we sustain a job or a work from Mahadev?
How can we sustain a job or work?
Yeah.
Okay. See, one thing I'll tell you, right? There is always an opportunity for somebody who's doing good. As a company, in my company, I'll tell you, we are like 200 plus. Or some of my colleagues where I was speaking to them also, they are still hiring people. The problem, what happens is that certain people are laid off, certain people are asked to go on leave because they were not able to learn the newer technologies. That they were not ready to be dynamic or be open for a changes. Right? So those are the people who get into a bad shape, but then somebody is energetic, right? And when I say that, you are an engineer, if you are, say, you are a computer science student and then come out of it, we should not by heart program and then deliver it out. That if you are given a problem statement, you should be able to digest, think, and then come back and write a program. Right? We don't try to evaluate how good is your syntax, right? It's perfectly okay if you are doing a printf and then you are not using the double quotes. It will throw an error, you can correct it out. But if you don't know how to find a Fibonacci series as a concept, you don't know how to write a program, right? Then it will be a problem. So most people who are either losing the job or having a bad time is because they are not ready to learn something. Right. While in the very short term, there are some problems where people have been asked to go on leave for some days or not getting salary and all. But it's a short term, right? It is not going to be long term. That's only because they don't have business, right? For somebody as a company, if I have to pay salary to my employees, I should be earning something, right? So, and those kind of things are very short term. It really doesn't. It doesn't go. It doesn't like it's not forever. Right? In the next few months, or probably in probably next few weeks, also things can be much better. It's only that if you are not willing to change yourself or ready for new challenges, you will be in a trouble.
Yeah. Next question, sir, from Shanmukh Kani. So at this time, is it good to take? Is this time is good to take up job opportunity or should I pursue higher studies?
Yeah, like I was telling, right? You have two options, then you are rich. Right now, you have two choices. Right, you already have job in hand. Your parents are already happy to go for higher studies. You are a rich person. You can choose whatever you like. But then, my opinion, personally, what I feel is that before you go for higher studies, it is always good to have some job experience. How it helps is that when you are learning something new, you can connect the dots very easy. For example, if I'm doing an MBA, without being a manager or being into business, every term that I study every day is a new term for me. But if I work for 2-3 years and I started a business or I played a role of a manager in my job, and then when I study MBA, it will be so enlightened experience. Like, yeah, I used to do like this. Oh, this is called as this. Okay, this is the term for what I am trying to do. Those things. So there'll be a really good, joyful experience you get when you take some experience and then go for higher studies. But then personal choice are up to you. My opinion is to gain some experience and then get into higher studies.
Another important question from mechanical guy is Raghav. In what field that a mechanical engineer can be taken into the company?
Sorry, repeat the question.
In what field that a mechanical engineer are taken into the company?
Okay. So first thing, there is a lot of misconception of mechanical engineers not able to get into IT and all, right? So in one of my startup, I mean, of course, Shreyas can correct me there. Everything, including IT and R&D, everything is taken care by one mechanical engineer guy, and I'm really not at all good in front of what he can do. So the branch where you are studying it teaches you n number of things, but what you want to do, you can get better out of it. There is this few things, right? If you are into mechatronics, if you are doing a robotics, right, where you want to build a robot, obviously the robots requires you to have the software as well as the hardware part. When I say hardware, it's a mechanical devices, right? So a company like this definitely looks for somebody who's a mechanical engineer, and if he has got a computer science knowledge, he'll be a wonderful mix of requirements, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, there are so many people who are trying to innovate and come with these robotics products and also it's going to be the probably the third industry currently in the boom. So mechanical plus computer science makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I will unmute Tejaswini. She raised her hand. She has another question. Yeah, Tej, you can ask the question. Tejaswini, you can ask the question. Tejaswini TR, you can ask the question.
I think it's not audible.
Yeah.
Next question.
Yeah. And we'll take Khanija Shrey's question, sir. Yeah, Kanjesh, you can ask the question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So what I meant is, due to this COVID-19, abroad, what are the countries? Our country people are losing job in abroad countries, and when they return back to our country and they in search of jobs, they are having a good experience. They could grab our freshers jobs. What about the freshers? If they have experience, people come and grab our jobs.
Okay. Let me ask this question. Say that you go back to your hometown, assuming that it's a small village, and there are a lot of people who are doing their day in, day out job in the agriculture land. Are you going to do their job?
Sir, whatever they are needing the job, they are at present they need a job.
Correct. See, what I'm trying to say here is that somebody who comes from a different company, he has skill in certain areas, right? And the reason he is abroad also because the job opportunity is in abroad and not in India. And when he also comes back here, there is a huge difference of Indian culture to other country culture. Right? For example, I'll tell you, in India, you have probably 6 people and then there's one manager for every 6 people. In US, you don't have managers, right? You have one manager for every 100 employees, right? So the culture here is totally different compared to culture there. Right? They will not be able to take out the job opportunities at what we have. But then what can happen is that when they come here, they see there is so much of gap and they try to start their own company. In turn, there is a more possibility that they can give job to us rather than they taking a job from our end.
Sir, as becoming a IT mentality and what the IT people, what are the surviving in IT who are hiring freshers, they may hire the experienced people rather than a freshers, right?
No, I'll tell you very simply, we'll not do that one. I mean, I'm not talking about just from my company standpoint. Why do you think we hire a fresher? One of the main reason we hire a fresher is that we can train them well and then we can make them to be more successful catching up with my culture, my company culture, right? So if I'm getting somebody who is not fresher, who already have experience of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years in whichever industry they are into, right? They already are accustomed to the culture of how their company is working on, right? They'll not be ready to bend themselves, right? For the day when they come to office, I need a coffee, I need a tea. I'm just giving an example, right? They have certain reservations that freshers will not have, right? Coffee tea is just an example, but what I also meant is that I only work on this technology. An experienced person can come and tell like this, right? But the freshers cannot. We invest more on freshers because we always prepare freshers for the next level. See what is happening in rest of the countries and India. In rest of the countries, take an example of America. They have somebody as a role as a water engineer, and what is his job? He basically will spend years of learning to learn how to minimize the water spending, how to make efficient use of water. In India, we don't do those things. Right? We are not bothered about those things. If somebody like that comes in here, he will see as an opportunity, will open an institution and he will give a job opportunities to us. Somebody who is there working as a very senior program manager, when he comes in here, he cannot take a job of some whoever is doing a programming here, but he can probably head them. He can probably be part of that team, but then he cannot take out the job of what we already have in here. I'm telling again, 90%, there will be 10% scenarios where they recently went there and they are very easy to adjust here. There will be some conflicts will happen, but then majoritarily it will happen in a way that you will still have a job. That the question is more on, there'll be still some challenges. You know, what happens if we hire somebody, he can do one work in 10 days. Why not you do one same work in 10 days? Those questions will be raised. There'll be again a question, how efficiently you can do the same work.
Yes.
Yeah. So next, there is a question from Sindhu. I will enable that. Yeah, Sindhu, you are unmuted.
Good afternoon, sir. There's an option from UGC recently available that we can pursue 2 degrees at the same time. Is it a right option, or if it's really a right option, what are the measures or what are the preparations we can do?
The very first question comes, why did they do something like that? Does it make sense to have 2 degrees at once? Nowadays, what happens is that our learning curve has really improved because of the materials being available online, and then there's so many mentors available, so many availability of books and everything. We can learn so many things at once, right? So multitasking is what we can say here, right? So that's one of the reasons why there is a option of having the multiple branches collected together. We already have so many things. For example, there's an bioinformatics where you learn biology and informatics is basically your data analytics. So you club them together, because if you don't club them together, you can't make justice to that kind of a job. You can't make justice to any research work you do it out. While it's an individual's choice whether you want to do something like that or not, but then those are some good areas if you choose them very appropriately and if you fit yourself into that. Like, don't think that I'll have 2 degrees and then that will give me some gain. Degrees are worthless. Yeah. No degree can help you when you are in a situation and you don't have a common sense to how to run the show. So for the sake of degree or for the sake of progress, let's say progress for the sake of progress is not right. If you're going to have double degrees or if you're going to learn 2 different, you should really learn, then it makes a difference. If not, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So next, there is a question from chat box. So there is a very good question from Rajesh Kumar. Sir, to what extent is learning English language is important to grab IT sector?
See, I come from a background I didn't know English, right? I picked up instrumentation technology as my branch because I thought IT stands for information technology, and I can definitely understand what you mean by the importance of the English, right? So there are 2 important things. One, to tell you honestly, today my English is really not that great. but I know how to communicate. I have a confidence on how do I speak to person, right? And I spent a lot of my days trying to, correct myself. There are a lot of people who surrounding to me who help me to improvise my English. I'm talking about the early days of my career, and having such people surrounded makes a lot of difference for you to grow and then learn. It's not just about English per se for anything. When it comes to IT industry, it is very much essential that you learn English, right? We are not yet in a situation where we have vernacular approach of handling the business, and most of IT business is outside India. Right? We work for countries who are not in India, and the common language across world is English, so you will be forced to learn English. And English plays very vital role in terms of your job. Spend enough time, like again, you can do very simple things, one sentence a day. Let's start in that way, right? One in 1 week you should be able to learn how to use articles, a, the, and, right? The next week you focus on should be, should not be, those things, and the next week you can show if and else. So if you do like that in a matter of no time, in 6 months you'll be able to see yourself as an expert in English. Only thing, you need people surrounding who also have the same mindset, right? Rotten apple can rot all other apples. In the same way, if you are good, then you can make everybody else surrounding you also is good.
Thank you, sir. So next, there is a question from the chat box, that is Prabalika. So how can the software engineering students can contribute to Make in India?
Can contribute to?
Make in India.
Make in India.
Yeah.
Okay. See, how many of you know, but there are 2-3 apps that have been recently released. One among them is Arogya Setu, and the second one is Kavach, released by Karnataka government. And see, there's a very simple tracing one person to other person makes a very important. And if you can help in any way, it makes a huge difference. I'm trying to help my childhood friends to sell their vegetables and whatever millets and all they're grown in their hometown, their farm, to sell it into the urban cities, right? So there are so many ways you can contribute. It is just that a very important thing is that you should look at where is the problem. Right? You try to give a solution without having a problem will not help in any way. Right? So very simple ways that look at what are the areas where you are seeing a pain point, and then you can solve the problems. Right? If you are staying in an apartment and you find it very difficult to pay electricity bills, you have to go and stand in the queue, look for a solution there, how you can help them. Right? You find it difficult to buy groceries, I mean, there are already these applications available, but then this is available only in urban areas, right? You can get the same help in the rural areas also, right? So that's the one thing. And second thing is, most people in India, especially in the rural areas, are underemployed. What underemployed means is that they have job for 2 days or 3 days, and remaining 4 days they are free. Right? You can utilize them and then give them some job opportunities. Probably, I was telling about this option of, why don't you educate people in rural to have the honeybees, right? Ask them to do a small honey house and then help them do something. And they engage like 2 days in a month, they'll be able to make good money. It is not about making money, but then you are keeping them occupied, right? When the person is occupied in work, they will not go into any bad habits, or they will not do anything that is not really essential. So that way, you can help in many different ways. Right? There are so many ideas. Obviously, I cannot be a judge of all of them, but there are 100 different ways you can help, for sure.
So another question from Aishwarya M. How to build a strong resume, precisely how to be unique than the rest?
See, resume, I'll have to take another 1 hour session to explain you how to build a resume. Probably we should plan some other day. But then 3 points I'll tell you. One is that be honest. You write, C, C++, Java, all the languages, and you ask to write a very simple program, you don't know how to write a program. Right? So that's the biggest out. And the second thing is that when you're applying for a job, you should know what company you are applying for a job. You should know what they're working for, and you should know whether you match there. And if you match, you should try to put in a word so that they can buy you. They can understand, okay, why you are fit in my company. Right? And third is very important thing is that be professional, right? There's an email ID, chocolaterani@gmail.com, right? So that doesn't make me feel good, right? If you're sending an email with an attachment as a resume, so there's not even a subject, or in the subject it says resume. The file name has a resume.txt or resume.pdf, right? I already get 100 resumes. And if you want to be unique, your name should be there in the, at least in the file name, right? So making sure yourself uniqueness is a very simple steps. Writing one cover email telling, hello sir, this is what I got to know about your company, or I got to know about you. This is what I'm good at. Let me know if there is any opportunity I can help. Again, like I said, right, immediately you ask for a job. Only if there is a job you will get it. Otherwise, you will not get help. You want to get help, then connect with them slowly. Ask for a small questions, then you will get a bigger help. Resume is a very big chapter for me to cover. We should probably cover it in some other day.
Yeah, sure. The one question from all the audience or all the students I'm asking you, sir. So they are from the final year. They are already in the 8th semester. So there, some of the students already they have got a job offers 2 months back. So and they are already they felt that they are having some satisfaction that we have a job on our hand. So nowadays it is what's happening is many of the mails they are getting, so that they are given an internship and they are saying them. So I think we will be referring you for other companies as because the company is in a tough situation because of this COVID-19 situation. So there are many things were happening with the students and especially the 8th semester. How again they need to come back to the real situation, how they need to face the interviews, how they need to connect the companies. They are getting low and low day by day. So how I can be going to Bangalore or somewhere, how I can approach the companies is the way they need. Another thing is they need to convince their parents also. They need to go for Bangalore to get the IT jobs. Is it necessary to go to Bangalore only to get the IT jobs is one question. And the another question is how they need to again come back and they should approach the companies. In what way they can approach the companies for their jobs, for the interview process.
Okay. So let me ask this question. Say you are playing a game and obviously game has a different levels. You are on the level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. Right? So which one you really feel excited? When you win the level 1, you feel more excited, or when you win the level 5, you feel more excited?
It's level 5.
Definitely level 5. Why? Because there are more challenges as compared to the level 1. So congratulations, now everybody is in level 5. Right? So now you have more challenges, but then there's only one option you have is a win, right? For a minute, let me step back and discuss on behalf of companies on what is happening with us, right? So we had 100 people and we planned them to have XYZ projects, right? Now XYZ projects are not happening because the country from where I have project, they are all shut right now. So they're not going to do anything for the next 6 months. Right? So for the next 6 months, I cannot hire these people and then keep them idle. Right? So what I'll do is that I'll ask these 100 people to, okay, why don't you join me after 6 months? Right? After 6 months, if they are going to hire again, these 100 people will be the first people who get a preferences. This is the reason why you are saying either no or why you are getting a delay in the recruitment process. Now, what should you do if you are somebody who already got a job and then you are not sure that whether your company will call you or not? Definitely, you should start looking for alternative jobs. It is not mandatory that you have to wait for that company to come and then take you always. But what can you do in this time is that you can gain the new skill sets. Right? Why do you need to gain new skill sets? Because after 2 months, if they want to again get a one among the 60 people they had, probably you can tell, see, I already gained these skills. So you could be probably somebody who has got upper hand compared to remaining 60 people. Right? So getting yourself skilled is very important. And if you do that one, you will have a wonderful career. Now, coming to the other question, telling, should I come to Bangalore and then only I'll get a job? See, the innovation has picked up almost everybody. Nowadays, everybody is trying to see how do I make things very efficient. Right? Nobody wants to have hundreds of employees. I mean, participants come there and attend the interview. The most interviews are even will start becoming more and online. Right? So it's very easy to be online nowadays, right? So you have one of your friends call and then practice on how do you do online sessions or how do you do online QA sessions and all. But you don't need to be compulsorily moved to Bangalore for you to seek a job for time being, right? And one other problem that I see is that if you don't even know the basics, there is no point in coming to Bangalore, right? Spend enough time in your own hometown. Spend a lot of time in learning some new skills. There are so many online tools are available. Spend lot of time in making sure you gain some skills before you come to Bangalore. Only when you are very confident and you have got these skills and you can do whatever it takes to be going to the next level is when you should try to shift to the Bangalore. Right? Honestly telling, don't go for any educational institutes right now. You can ask one of your computer science student to tell you that Java programming language, if you want to learn Java or anything as such, you within yourself, you can find a way to engage rather than coming to Bangalore and then getting into a lot of painful experience. And believe me, for at least another month or two, you'll not have any interview scheduled in Bangalore. So it's going to take at least another 2-3 months. So at least for next 2-3 months, don't plan to come to Bangalore.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And I will enable Priya Krishnan. She's having some question with her. Yeah, Priya Krishnan. You can mute your television and you can ask the question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Priya.
Hello.
Yeah, you can speak, Priya.
Sir, give me some hint or instruction while in selection process for freshers to grab job.
Again, it's not a 1 minute question where I can answer back to you very quickly, but then to summarize on what we do when I try to hire somebody as a fresher, I just look at their resume and ask the questions based on their resume. That is a very bare minimum. I expect they should be able to, if they are from electronics background, I would expect them to explain me very simple questions on electronics, and then I go on complex based on what his capabilities are, right? If they are computer science, obviously I look at how good they are in programming or depending on what branch they are, right? But my major focus is on their analytical skills and the acceptance of critics. When I say you are wrong, how positively you respond back, right? And then when you have been given a very difficult challenge, how composed are you to address those challenges and come back? Those are very bare minimum things I can give, but then how to prepare is a long process that takes years together. In fact, for all of us, the experience starts when you are kids, right? When you were a kid, there used to be some of our neighbors or somebody used to come and ask us some questions, making us to think, right? There used to be these kind of puzzles, right, where there's 7 temples, 7 days, 7 gods, and all this stuff, right? So all those questions are asked to our childhood, so that we can grow or learn something and ask ourselves for our analytical abilities to solve the problems in our early days. So that experience or that learning has to start in a very early stage. Right. So in an interview, I evaluate on how good you are in those situations. That's a summary I can tell in this short time.
Yeah, another question from student side. So whenever we are talking about computer science or information science or electronics, so many of the even the faculties or even the many of the IT people, the resource persons, they talk only about machine learning or an AI or about a Python programming languages. So is that really needed one that we need to learn only, or we need to concentrate only on Python or in a machine learning or about AI? So what is happening is nothing but all the people are thinking about then I need to do a Python certification and I need to be very good at machine learning. So what actually is that only that programming language will be holding for another 10 years, or all the students go with the machine learning only, is all the students will get the job?
See, I mean, that question is as good as if everybody does a computer science, whether all of them will get into a job. Answer is subjective, but then one important thing that I see is that these are buzzwords, right? When you're talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and Python are the buzzwords. Right? For somebody who don't even know the programming language can do a machine learning, can learn machine learning, and can do wonderful things, right? But then, like I was saying some time back, right? If there is no problem, you cannot give a solution. First and foremost, you should have an ability to know that there is a problem, then you can give a solution. Somebody who comes out of the college and goes a 6 months course into a Python is a very good beginner to start being part of the bigger solution. That you individually cannot solve a problem. Right? You can probably play a role in doing a data analytics, and you can be a small player in that one, but then you cannot be a data scientist immediately. Right? In my company, we work in healthcare. Healthcare is basically where you look at the data of millions of people and then give them, okay, what medication is good for them. It's called as a clinical research, right? So For you to do something like that, it takes 6 months to years, and bare minimum it takes at least 2 years for you to tell one vaccine that it is good or bad. Yeah. So imagine something like that is the duration it takes. Somebody who is doing the engineering or the data science in the back end requires years of time to understand the data itself. Right? These learnings are really good. Having knowing machine learning, knowing data science, knowing Python really helps you a lot. But then it doesn't give job only because you have these things. You need to have other skills also. Right? And believe me, not everybody will be able to understand what these are. And I don't think everybody will have a interest or easier way of connecting with these things and learn by themselves. So feel free, go and then burn your hands. There are at least few % of people who learn, and then it will help you a lot in your further career. But then it's not that because of this you will get a job. But it is a good start, but it is not the end.
Yeah. So there is another question. Sir, whenever we are talking about an IT, what the company will expect from the freshers, what technology the company will expect from the freshers, and what they need to put up in the resumes as a programming language in there.
I answered the similar question sometime back. To put it in again, you cannot put in a resume something that you don't know. Right? If you are putting in a resume, then you should know about it. Right? And what company expects? See, as a company, I can train you in what language. Anyhow, I will train you guys into my company when you come in. Right? Post-COVID, obviously, I want to reduce my training cycle. I want to get somebody who is already trained. Right? If my company works on Java, I want somebody who already knows Java. If my company works in C#.NET, I want somebody who already has some experience in C#.NET. So having experience in certain languages really helps for everybody. That's why you need to start doing small programs or small projects and get some mentor who can help you guys to do that. But then it's all at your end on how honestly you can really do that. Right? If you're not doing that, then you cannot do anything. We not look for a programming language from a company. We look at more on, do you have an ability to learn? Is your attitude good enough to work with a bunch of people, right? Somebody, if you cannot do your final year project with a group of 4 people, how can you work in my company with a group of 40 people? You'll not be able to work. So your project is a very simple definition where I get to know how good you are, how well you are involved. And these are some questions I'll try to ask. But then post-COVID, there'll be a slight variation where I would like to have somebody who's already experienced so that the learning curve in my company can be reduced.
Yeah, one question from Rajwal Jain. Most of the students got job letter from different MNC companies, and now because of COVID-19 situation, our companies are delaying their reporting dates. No one knows how much delay could happen because of this situation. So my question is whether they should stick to those job offers or should start finding something else. So waiting for a very long time might not be suitable for students who are weak financial background.
Yeah, I answered this question sometime back again. You should start looking for job. You should start looking for upskilling yourself also. So they will call you back. Probably it will take some time, but then you don't have to keep quiet for that and do nothing. You should definitely start looking for different opportunities.
So we will take another 3 to 4 questions from the audience and we'll wind off. So if any questions, I think you can raise your hand, and at another 5 minutes we can end up the session.
So we have a question from Sachin. Can you unmute Sachin? Yes, Sachin, go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
as you told earlier, sir, if you go to native place, are you ready to do the agriculture work?
Okay.
Like someone asked that question, sir.
Yes.
My question is, instead of doing agriculture work, I will buy the tractor.
You will buy the
tractor or machines, any machines.
Okay.
And I will take away 10% job because tractor can do the work in lesser time, sir.
Okay, I mean, really good idea, Sachin. But then, do you know that when you buy a tractor, you are actually giving job for either 100 people?
No, sir. I will not open the company of a tractor. I will just buy the tractor for myself.
Of a tractor, when you buy a tractor, that itself gives a bunch of opportunities, and then you are also asking the 10 people who are working to think on their job. What should I do now? That they lost their job, right? And then if you go to your hometown, honestly, this experience, most people are not willing to do this kind of daily wage jobs. Right? It's very hard to get laborers who want to work on these kind of activities. If you are able to commercialize these things and get tractors and all, that's really an awesome idea, and that will help a lot. I'm not talking from the analogy standpoint. That's a fact. If you can get that one, that's a great idea. Coming back to your question, which is related to what you were saying, is that if somebody comes back from other countries and then they automate the things, and that will lose a job.
Yes, sir.
I believe that's a question you are trying to put.
Yes, sir. In IT field also. Yes, sir. In IT field also, same thing can possible now, sir.
Exactly. I got the question.
Like
So the fact is that, Sachin, we have so much of job, we don't have the right people to do that work. You look at every company, in every project we discussed, we'll have one or other challenge where we don't have enough people who can handle these projects. So if you can free me 10 people, I'll be more than happy to pick up them into the next project. So believe me that any change that brings in, if you look at one of the slide, I was talking about having about efficiency and then the productivity.
Yes,
you will have hundreds of these ideas coming in right now. Right? We ourselves have scrapped 10 different roles because all those 10 different roles can be done by one software now.
Okay.
But those 10 people have been upgraded themselves to get into a different project where they can do wonderful tasks. So those who are good will never lose a job, for sure. Those who are not ready to upskill, those who are not willing to learn something new will definitely lose a job. Whether they are freshers, experience doesn't matter, right? The more you are dynamic in nature, the more you are adaptive, you will survive. But then that's a good question, Sachin. I mean, I like the way you thought about it out. Really great question.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. We still have questions. It's not audible. If somebody is asking a question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, as you said, if you are dynamic there, you are hiring people, 10 more people that you need, right, sir?
Mm-hmm.
So for what I heard, what I felt, and what I seniors have said that if they have vacancies in their company, they are not hiring for the purpose of the save money. They are putting a lot of work pressure on those who are working presently, who can do two people's job at a time for the same people. They are not hiring others to do that job in order to save money.
That is true. I mean, I cannot 100% certify on that one, but then yes, that will be the scenario for next few months.
Yes, sir.
You will not have getting everybody hired in the next few months because of a lot of situation that we are into. It's going to be there for next few weeks or few months before we come back to normalcy.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for tolerating me for 1 hour. I've been talking. I don't know how many of you can make better sense out of what I was telling. Feel free to contact me. I'm telling you honestly, contact your seniors. They are the first person who can help you guys, other than talking to somebody like me. They'll be more than happy. Like I said, seek help, right? Go and connect with them. Ask simple questions, and you will get a lot of help from many people. And I'm also thankful to Samskara Foundation, especially Vinay and his team. They made this whole webinar being very important. And then I hope that at least some of you guys found it really helpful. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Pramod sir, and my team of Samskar Foundation, Adarsh, Rajesh, Rajwal, Samanvita, Yogashri, and Chaitra. You all coordinate, especially I need to thank the Shreyas for giving his platform to host this event. And I thank Pramod sir. We will be in touch and we will do some of the good activities for the society and make students to be very confident in the future. Thank you all. We sign off for the today session.